Welcome to Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk, the fastest growing sports talk show in the country. And now, here's your host, Jasmine Pollock.
Welcome to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk, episode 8. And today we have an amazing show, and we're going to stick with talking with softball. So, for me personally, I grew up loving softball. I grew up wanting to play, and I eventually played my sophomore year of high school. And it was a sport that I just fell in love with. And I want to see more of it. I want to see it on TV. I want to see it advertised a lot more. So, just to start this conversation off, Jeremiah, what does it take for the softball world to be as big? How can it be on that same level as the WNBA? Where do we start to get this league, a softball league, if that makes sense?
Mostly when it comes to the softball league, it is so recognized, and I feel like it's more of a fan base of approval at certain points. Because to me, trying to get it to a professional sport as it is, right now, I think it would need to take the people to do that. Like it needs to be a type of a petition, and I feel like trying to put money forward to have these type of things, because I know when it comes to after college, a lot of these young girls, when they come out, they want to continue playing softball because you got teams like Oklahoma, Alabama, so many teams that have a huge fan base behind them when it comes to the softball, and these girls continue having championships each and every time, and then kind of afterwards it's like a complete stop, or they are either start getting to analysis, maybe starting their own leagues and certain things. But I feel like when it comes to that, there needs to be like a whole league for softball, because it is great for the sport itself to me.
I agree. And I know for me, even playing for myself, I really enjoyed playing. It's such an energetic sport, especially travel softball. Like, anything travel sport, like, it is just so competitive. It's so fun. It's just fun to travel different places and play multiple different teams. I'm glad you mentioned teams like Alabama, the Oklahomas. I believe Oklahoma did win the Natty last year or this last season. And I know one of the players on there, she broke a record for most home runs. So these women, they're very talented. And, I love to see it in the Olympics right now. And, I'm currently watching. And I really like that the Japanese team. It's so amazing. Jeremiah, what does it take, like, for when we see a lot of our girls come out of college, when you see them, should there be a draft, and how could we have a draft, how they would have an MLB, NBA, and different places like that?
Yes, you hit it right on the nose when it came to certain things as a draft. From so many schools, you have these young girls that are talented as they are. I feel like they should have a shot at those different opportunities outside when it comes to not just high school, not just, travel softball, not just college, but actually professional. To have a certain thing of a draft, or just a lottery draft for those type of players, it will mean just so much from the talent wise, from the hitters to the outfielders and etc. And I would know that so many people would be behind it, because just look at recently, you can look at so many of the viewers which came from this last championship that just happened against Alabama, as you just said. It was incredible. The viewership was up, and during that whole tournament, it was just like outstanding to me. And for that to happen, I think that it needs to be a push from, like I said, I think it needs to be a push from, I would say, trying to get mostly a lot of petitions out, like I said before, or just trying to get money to kind of persuade them to kind of get to this, because you can make different spots from different state and from different city to have this stuff like going. And I feel like it would be a huge success to add another sports, a professional sports inside the league itself. You have those different off season times, especially in the springtime. Many people want to watch different sports, not just when it comes to going out there when it's college or just high school. You want to see that stuff when it's mostly on TV. It's nothing is more exciting than watching those, especially taken away from the baseball. You will have softball right after, and it make more kind of opportunities for the women to actually get employed. I feel like for coaches, for reporting, and other things that's of that nature.
And speaking of which, I actually, in high school, I had a coach named was Coach Mary. Shout out to her. She was actually a national championship. She won a national championship with the Michigan Wolverines when she played. She was mainly a runner. She didn't really do a lot of outfield, infield, even though she was very talented when she taught me. And I know my senior year, I gotten a lot better and a lot more skills from learning how to place the ball, where to hit at, and definitely the placement of where you are in the field, because I played majority outfield. I never played infield. So for me, I would love to see how the WNBA is. I would love to see that for women's softball. It's just amazing how those girls play, and they're so competitive. Every softball game I've seen at the collegiate level, when you look at all these amazing teams, every game I saw was always a nail biter. And it's just so competitive, and it's so energetic that these athletes all across the field, they're hitting home runs, they're making acrobatic catches, they're making just a lot of different plays, and the coaches are coaching very well. And I think it brings a lot of people together to see young women like that play. And I think for it to happen too, definitely would need the support of the MLB. Of course, you would need that. You would need a lot of push for that. And even, the colleges push a lot more of that, because, we love watching college baseball, but it's very important that those girls get the same amount of push, even though it's very competitive. So, Jeremiah, do you think for even the Olympics, do you think that for softball, when these girls are coming out of college, should there be a choice to where, okay, well, I'm going to train for Olympics or go train for the softball league if there is a potential softball league? How would that work?
To me, Jasmine, I feel like when it comes to those type of choices, I think that it should be one and the same. I feel like when it comes to having that professionalism, when it comes to that, you just don't have to just depend on just trying to go for gold each time, but trying to win more and more championships. Because when it comes to college, once you end those 4 years, it is done. And I can't tell you the amount of excitement you get from a certain crowd. And with the softball right now, playing in Tokyo right now and there's not really too much fans, because there's no people out there because of COVID and everything else like that. And I feel like when it comes to the professional league, if they would have it to where it's like that, I feel like it would be more people that will come out. More people will show, more viewerships and everything that's like that. You kind of put more on the map for people to pay attention to, because I can tell you from myself from experience, when it came to always in high school, watching the softball team always play, like there's nothing like it. They have their own chants from their dugouts, different sides. They're chanting, going back and forth, rivalry, back and forth, back and forth. You have the parents, they are going at it and everything else, and many people be like, man, it's just softball. But no, it's more serious to these women and to these young girls that's doing it. Like, this is like a whole legacy that they're trying to go, and I feel like it shouldn't be a stop after when it comes to college, and especially not just for them just going to Olympics. I think it should be here on and going so far on when it comes to a professional league.
I agree with that. And I saw that comment that Leon left. What cities and what states can this start? For me, I would love to see, I think in Florida, just to start, because
Florida,
even me
definitely.
playing travel, Florida is very, very big on softball. Then you look at Georgia, you look at Alabama, Mississippi,
Alabama.
look at a lot of
Exactly.
those places like that. Even Louisiana, like those are consistently some of your better softball teams in those states. Even college level, even just regular high school and travel. I knew we played a lot of girls that were so talented from a lot of these southern states. So I feel like just to start, it should be a push with that. But me being a little biased, I would say Florida, just based off of Florida, the Gators being one of the most consistent softball teams. Then now you're seeing Florida State come in the picture. And then next door neighbor to me is the USF Bulls, which are very, very talented softball team. I would love to see it start there, and then it just grows and grows and grows. And the more we see that, I think a lot of people will gain more knowledge of it. And it kind of disappoints me when ESPN posted it and they say that, oh, softball's not really a sport. It's just and that's entirely not true. That is a very competitive sport. It's a very hardworking sport. And it's just more than just hitting and catching. It's more than that. You have to understand plays. You have to know different placement. It's very, very competitive. And it's fun to travel with your teammates, fun to travel with different girls and challenge other players. But Jeremiah, for you, what cities and what states do you feel that would be the best to start this?
Um, I will have to say Florida, as you said. Also California, because you also have UCLA up there. That
Hmm.
they have a great softball team as well. Also Oklahoma. I think a lot of the southern places. I feel like having those athletes they have up there. Like I don't know when it comes to Alabama, Oklahoma, Florida, and all the ones they just grab these girls. That they're just
Can knock it
out
out
of
the
this
park.
world athletes, having, the hit, the pitches, like miles per hour, just above standards and everything else. And to be honest with you, those are mostly the big states I would say. Um, and also, and just to me worldwide when it comes to most of those, of course you can start in those small ones. I feel like you should start the leagues when it comes to where a lot of the colleges are kind of at, because they already have a big fan base already over there, so trying to connect them with the professional league inside that whole city and the state, I feel like it'll attract more people and they'll bring more encouragement, and plus for more fundraising, some more memberships, and selling tickets, viewerships, and kind of getting the name out there. Because I do agree with you, Jasmine, when it comes to when everything goes on ESPN, many people be like, "Yo, it's not a sport. What is this? I can see a man do this not every time." And to be honest with you, it is not easy as it looks. Like when it
Exactly.
comes to these type of pitches and these types of hits, and when it comes to just in the outfield, sometimes it's all about communication, different things that just goes into this whole thing. And for my question to you, Jasmine, when it comes to softball for you, for it to take this is next level as it is, kind of where would you want to start right now and dissecting kind of where the next level should be?
Definitely. You're talking about dissecting the level, or what do you mean by that?
Kind of the level of popularity when it comes to more of a kind of more of a household name when it comes to those type of things.
Definitely, it needs to start with, I think, the the college softball teams that we see a lot of them. They need to start funding and putting those also on a big pedestal. Also, I think that's a very important thing. And I feel that to start that, you just have to get more. And once you get more recognition, you get more parents involved, you get more, a lot of coaches and different things like that. So
Right.
I think it's very important to get involved with that and have these college teams also come out and do things like that. But we'll be right back. We're going to take a quick break and send it to our announcer, Kelly Johnson, for a short break. Be right back.
You're watching Jasmine Pollock's First Impression Sports Talk. Stay in touch with Jasmine on her social media channels to see videos, featured guest interviews, and much more. Find Jasmine on LinkedIn by searching Jasmine Pollock. On Instagram, it's at GameSpace_sports. And you can find Jasmine on YouTube by searching GameSpace Sports Content. First Impression Sports Talk airs each Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can see the show live on YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. If you missed the live show, we have you covered. A recorded version is always available on social media. And now, back to more First Impression Sports Talk.
Welcome back, everyone. Back to Jasmine's First Impression Sports Talk. Just to finish up, Jeremiah, I saw a comment that Leon left again. What do you think? What is the best season to have a softball team? What's the best, league more so? What's the best season to start that? What do you think?
To me, when it comes to softball season and everything right now, I would think that to have a professional league, I think it should start when it comes to in summertime. I think at mostly the same time as you would have when it comes to MLB. Because many people can say, the springtime, good weather and everything else like that. But I just feel like when it comes in the summer, after all the the huge sports are mostly done and everything else, I feel like it will be like a wrap around for the women to kind of catch the attention to be like, we're still here type thing. And for them to kind of have that spark um actually in the summer, not to mention having great weather. I know you can maybe run into certain things when it comes to storms and other things like that, but nothing can kind of compete when it comes to the summer weather. Having the different heat and plus the people and their availability to me. Because summertime, many people are out of school and many people are sometimes out of work at certain points of time. And they're going to be watching, they're going to be looking. I feel like it would bring in more viewers, and also it would just bring more attention to the sports in itself.
Yeah, I can agree, but for a caution, when it comes to starting around MLB, I know a lot of people watch MLB and a lot of people may not be as in tuned. But for me, if I were to pick a season, I would want to say it has to be after the NFL season. It has to be around that time. And maybe because I know we had a total of 25 games for our softball season in high school. Maybe you want to push maybe 30, 35 games per season, maybe, or even 40 max. But I feel like it should start like right after NFL season, because I know everyone's going to be everyone's watching football, everybody's paying attention to playoffs and different things like that. So you want to kind of start it before also the hockey playoffs. You want to start it before MLB. You want to start it kind of before the NBA playoffs when that starts. So you want to try to get it in the middle of that season. And plus, not to mention, that's a lot the times when the girls start playing college, where it's like, okay, well, we can have it around the same time, college softball plus the professional league. So I think that would be the best time to have the softball season right in between there, because you don't want it to overlap with some of the more dominant sports. I think that would be important. And not to mention, you have the NCAA basketball, so it's a lot of sports happening year round. So I think it would be a good idea to start right after the NFL season and then end it right before playoffs start for the other sports. I think that would be very important. But for me, I know from my experiences, when playing softball, it brings it for young women specifically, because I played basketball too. It does the same thing how women's basketball is too. You learn so much, and it's amazing to play with other girls and seeing how talented women can play with different sports. It's like the strength, batting. A lot of girls hit a bunch of home runs and know how to throw from center field all the way to home plate. It's just amazing to see how strong these women are and how fast they can be and how the game can move very quickly. And it's a very unpredictable game, if that makes a lot of sense. But it can start off slow and then it can pick up right in the third inning. It's a fast sport to me. And it's so much you can do with it. It's so much you can have, and it's just so energetic. And plus, in baseball, you always watch it's kind of quiet. Everyone's kind of quiet, waiting for the bat. In softball, the girls are always standing up, rattling the fences. It's always loud and it's always
Definitely.
lively. So it's just amazing to have that. A lot of girls, we used to create a lot of chants all the time in softball. So it was really fun to have that experience. But Jeremiah, what are some of your experiences? Besides me, have you known anyone to play softball, and have you been to a softball game, and how was that for you as a person watching?
Well, inside my family and everything, so many of my family members, they're either track stars, even football players, or even all of this like that. Even sometimes I had many friends that were in high school myself. They actually played softball. They always be like, "Yo, you gonna come to the game?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna come to the game." It's my first time, actually, my sophomore year in high school. My coach was like, "We're gonna go and see the softball game." I was like, "I haven't went to the softball game not in my freshman year, because I'm always used to going home or just chilling at school with my friends and stuff." So we go there, and I'm telling you, just like my first experience there and everything, like it's nothing like it. Like the energy is just above the roof. You have the different fans. You have even the opposing fans. You're just seeing from there. Some of them won't even like you. Some of them will have these different chants and stuff. But once it gets on the field, everybody is engaged. You got the ones screaming. You have the ones that's just like spectating and everything. And you have the coaches. there's nothing like it, and my coach was like, at the end of the game, like, we had to go and everything, and the game wasn't even done. I was like, dang, coach, you couldn't wait till it finishes and everything else. And it was always a thing. I stuck with that afterwards, and I just always came and always would watch, because of course during the time that I was in Miami Coral Park, our team was always good during that time. We'll get to the distance and make the playoffs and everything in the tournament, all of that. And we come up a little bit short, but our girls were always dominant and everything else like that.
Yeah, I agree. I just love the sport. I love playing. And even for me, like in the future, I would love to maybe someday in retirement, which is far, far away, is probably coach a softball team. Maybe even, I want to be one of those people to say, hey, we should have something like this. I would love to be a part of that to inspire the young women to go into a softball league and just open your minds to it. I think it's so amazing to see, because softball is such an amazing sport, and it brings a lot of families together specifically too. It's really fun to see, and it's very competitive and very lively. It's always every softball game I've had has always been loud. Even the opposing team, they're rattling the fences trying to distract you. Coaches are giving signals on third base. It was an amazing sport to play. But that wraps up tonight's show. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, for having this conversation with me. It was an amazing conversation. And hopefully one day we can have a softball league that we all can watch and enjoy. Thank you, Jay, for the production. Thank you, Leon, for the production. Thank you, Kelly, for the announcing. It was amazing. And thank you, the audience, for tuning in. And see you guys next Monday here on Jasmine Sports Impression Sports Talk.